Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World. We are at the start of a new month, so let's look back at the previous month. Yes, it is our regular, most popular blockchain game roundup for, well, this is for 2021, but looking at now October. Done things a little bit differently here from previous months, roughly the same in the sense that data from that radar, and we're looking at on-chain activity. So there's obviously a whole bunch of games, notably Axie Infinity, that have a whole bunch of people playing offline, so that their activity doesn't touch the blockchain. This is looking at on-chain activity. So that's what that radar sort of looks at for public blockchains. So we can see here, if we think October is sort of this bit here, we can see some good growth from particularly one game, and then some other stuff as well. So let's quickly go through some of these lines. Some of these, so for the one thing that has changed is I've put in more lines, but for games that are not games I think are not super interesting to talk about, I've put them in sort of a thinner line. So there's quite a lot of activity down here. But I kind of thought, often I don't put in some of these games because I don't think they're sort of worthy or they're proper games or something like that. Maybe I should actually show them so we can at least discuss them, even if they're sort of more in the background. So the big headline stuff, we have in red, Alien Worlds running on the Wax blockchain, although it also now has some activity on Binance, on the Binance Smart Chain. Which I don't think it won't be included in this. Actually, I'll have to sort of double check that in future months. It's only just gone live, so their mission stuff. Anyway, we can see here they sort of maintain this sort of 250,000 daily active unique wallets, just touching over 300,000. They've sort of created some new UI stuff going in there, that may be the reason for that. But Alien Worlds looks much nicer than it did. So some new stuff coming out, and it sort of maintained itself. Doing what it's been doing, even though volatility obviously in blockchain goes up and down. So that's sort of much as it was. Splinter Lands has continued its meteoric rise. So in green here, Splinter Lands, the card-based game running on the Hive blockchain, and we can see here that basically the end of last month, sort of Alien Worlds and Splinter Lands were sort of neck and neck at about 350,000 daily active unique wallets. Alien Worlds has gone down again, and Splinter Lands has just continued to go up, so almost breaking 500,000, a peak sort of thing going on there. So what's going on with Splinter Lands? Well, it continues the SPS token airdrop and staking mechanic is still going on. The airdrop is now about just over a quarter of the way through the year-long airdrop. Staking is still about 50%, so there's lots of activity there around that. Obviously, people are playing the game as well. And the sort of card over the last kind of month, the new card drop has gone live, although you can only buy packs, you can't actually unlock the cards yet. So there's just a lot of activity going on with Splinter Lands, and they continue that sort of growth curve, and they are now, as they were actually difficult to tell at the start of the year. This green line here, Splinter Lands was the most popular blockchain game with about 8,000 daily active unique wallets, and now it's well over 400,000, and still the most popular game. But roughly you can say Alien Worlds and Splinter Lands are sort of roughly in the same sort of ballpark, I guess. What else have we got? We've got Axie Infinity. So this is just measuring the Ronin blockchain stuff. So this is trading of Axies, breeding of Axies, and some token transfer. So doing about 100,000 daily active unique wallets on chain. Off chain now it's getting on for about 2.3 million DAUs. It's getting on for about 2 million just on Android, about 500,000 on PC, a little bit on Mac and iOS. So Axie Infinity, I guess has sort of come off a little bit from its height, but the AXS token is still token price still doing pretty well, so no change there. And then we have these sort of other things. Actually, no, we have Uplands as well. So Uplands, the mobile game that's available through the app stores. So that's sort of come down a little bit. So it's sort of grown steadily. It's sort of been an interesting sort of thing going on here that app stores give you a lot of access to people because everyone has an iPhone or an Android phone, but it takes out a lot of the I guess the sizzle of being a blockchain game, which is certainly an open blockchain game where you have these tokens flying around. You can't do that with app stores because app stores want their 30% of any revenue. So in a sense, that's given being on an app store is sort of good for Upland, that it's allowed them to have access to a lot of players, but it's just taken out I think some of the excitement, and it's sort of the mechanics of earning money in Upland is just complicated because they're going through app store. So they haven't really sort of seen this explosive growth that these other games have done, because they're just sort of quite limited in what you can do. I mean, they're still building out. I think 13 cities now are open in the US because it's like a Monopoly, like a real locate. It's not location based, but it's a real uses real world mapping data. And they've had like 1.5 million sort of cash out, so it's not nothing, but equally it's not hundreds of millions of dollars like we're seeing in some of these games. So it's an interesting point. So what else we've got here? So I've covered in previous videos. I've covered Crypto Blades. So Crypto Blades blew up literally in July and August. So at one point, by far and away the biggest blockchain game, basically came down again. Loads of bots going on there, and it's basically gone down to 0 now. So this sort of shows when a blockchain game goes horribly wrong. Basically, it wasn't really a game; it was sort of a token farming mechanic. We had to buy NFTs and sort of to a degree, sort of you weren't staking them, but you had to buy NFTs and you got a token back and you could sell it off, and the token price went through the roof and everyone piled in, and then the token price collapsed and everyone lost their money. So it's sort of typical boom bust crypto thing. And then we've got these other ones here, which again, Binance Smart Chain. I'm not a big fan of Binance Smart Chain in general because it's too centralized because of Binance. But equally, we've not really seen any games do well on it. They tend to be what I would call sort of GameFi, so they're sort of financial games. Nothing wrong with that. We can see here that the Mobox is an NFT farming game. We can see here very characteristic sort of spikes. So there's reasons people are paying, and then again this is probably bots, I would imagine. So you have sort of regular peaks, and then it sort of basically goes down to almost 0 really. So sort of an odd sort of activity graph. I probably need to look at it a bit more to see why it's doing this. Presumably they would have something in the game that's sort of driving activity on certain days and not other days. But we can see here if I was running a product, I wouldn't like this very much. I want to have I would like a sustained user base. And we can see none of the other games. All the games have volatility, but none of them have this regular volatility. The other new one here we've got is Crypto Mine. So in this sort of this sort of slightly lighter line, and that's gone from nowhere in September, and that's going up to 100,000. So again, this is having a quick look at this. It's quite a nice interface. Again, it's sort of a slightly sort of complicated NFT sort of farming thing as far as I can make out. It's all based in space and stuff. So we'll see how that one comes on. As I say, I've not really been impressed with games on Binance Smart Chain at the moment, but maybe that is just me. So let's have a look in a bit more detail here. So basically, I've done a log graph here. I've taken out those Binance Smart Chain ones, so there's a few gaps and stuff. So you can kind of see I like log graphs allow you to see growth. And certainly at the start of the year, we can see here Axie Infinity was very small, under 1,000 DAUs, and we can sort of see the growth here, there is still sort of growth there, but we can kind of see with a log sort of scale, we can kind of see where growth really happens, and then when growth is less strong. So we can kind of see here with Alien Worlds in April was when the really strong growth happened, and it's sort of been pretty steady since then. There's been sort of ups and downs, and they've obviously had problems with bots, and they've sort of tried to get rid of them. But it's pretty steady for half the year. They've been pretty steady at that level. Splinter Lands, we can see, has been this very strong growth from sort of August or sort of late July when the token stuff went live. It's sort of trailing off now, so we can see this sort of this graph bending, but it's still growing. And then we have Axie Infinity, and then sort of Uplands. We can kind of see sort of a slight sort of undulation here, but really at no point for Uplands the big growth was sort of at the start of the year to get it from thousands into tens of thousands, and now it's doing about 30,000-40,000 a day, but it hasn't really that growth curve just hasn't continued upwards. And I guess that's the that's sort of the interesting thing for them. They've just raised a bunch of money, so raised $18 million. So I think that's something they're going to have to sort of think about, how they can get more open blockchain stuff in there. But that's where we are for the most popular blockchain games in terms of on-chain activity. It's definitely, we can see here at the start of the year, we were in the at best tens of thousands, and now we're in the hundreds of thousands. So that's the nice sort of 10x hockey stick sort of thing we want to see. Obviously, I guess what we want to see now is more games in here. There's no reason why you just would have a few games over 100,000 daily active unique wallets. There are billions of people playing games every day. We kind of, I guess what we want to see now is some of these games going higher, obviously, but we kind of want to see more of these games in there, because for the last kind of few months it's been Alien Worlds, Splinter Lands, and Axie Infinity have sort of been the sort of three games that we've been talking about. So that's really been the case for the last kind of 3 months, and it's time now, I think, for a bit of new blood. So we'll wait and see what happens. There's lots of new games being announced, and we'll see how they how they stack up as I guess 2022 comes around. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World, and every month we go through what's going on in terms of the most popular games, but do loads of other stuff as well. So please subscribe to the channel. But thanks for watching, and see you guys.